Most people searching for off-grid land start in the wrong places. They find the same 4 states, the same overpriced parcels, the same YouTube lists with zero actual county detail. Then they give up and decide it costs too much.
It doesn't. Scattered across the American West are counties where building codes either don't exist outside city limits or simply don't get enforced. Counties so large, so underfunded, or so libertarian in culture that nobody is coming to check what you built on your 40 acres. Counties where land sells for prices that stopped making sense anywhere else 20 years ago. This is the list. 12 towns, real land prices, real regulations, or the near total absence of them. 1. Terlingua, Texas, Brewster County, far west Texas. Over 6,000 square miles, fewer than 9,000 people. Terlingua was a mining town once, then it emptied out, then it slowly refilled. Not with developers, but with people who wanted to be left alone. Land runs $1,000 to $5,000 per acre depending on access. The county is unincorporated across most of its area. People live in converted school buses, trailers, self-built structures. Permits are not part of the conversation. Over 300 days of sunshine make solar straightforward. The challenge is water. Wells run expensive in this geology. Many residents haul it in weekly. Summer temperatures regularly exceed 110 degrees Fahrenheit. The nearest hospital is 3 hours away. Terlingua is freedom at its most uncompromising and most demanding. 2. Crestone, Colorado, Saguache County. Elevation 8,000 feet. Population around 150 in town, considerably more scattered in the surrounding valley. Crestone has been a destination for off-grid and alternative living for decades. That means something specific. The knowledge is already there. Neighbors who have drilled wells, built earthships, wired solar systems, and survived high-altitude winters. The learning curve is shorter here than almost anywhere on this list. Land runs $5,000 to $20,000 per acre. Building codes outside town limits are minimal. The county does not have the enforcement capacity to police the surrounding valley even if it wanted to. The downside is the winter. At 8,000 feet, cold arrives early and stays. Temperatures drop well below zero. Managing water and heat through a San Luis Valley winter requires preparation that cannot be improvised. The community absorbs newcomers. The altitude does not negotiate. 3. Tonopah, Nevada, Nye County, Central Nevada. Enormous county. Tiny population, minimal oversight. Nye County is mentioned in off-grid circles for a reason. It has treated relaxed regulation as something close to a selling point. Land parcels run $500 to $2,000 per acre for unimproved ground. People build what they want, shipping containers, RVs, self-constructed structures, and the county is not staffed to respond even if it chose to. Solar conditions are close to ideal. Water requires either drilling or hauling. Summer heat in the Nevada desert exceeds 100 degrees Fahrenheit regularly. The isolation is real. This is not a place to discover you are not cut out for self-sufficiency. 4. Truth or consequences. New Mexico. Sierra County. Population around 6,000. Hot springs. Cheap land. A community that has been quietly absorbing off-grid residents for years. Land runs $3,000 to $8,000 per acre outside town. Sierra County's enforcement outside city limits is limited. Over 310 days of sunshine annually. Water tables in the Rio Grande Valley are more accessible than the surrounding high desert. One caution specific to New Mexico and several other western states. Groundwater rights are regulated. In some areas, drilling a well requires a permit, and the permit is not guaranteed. Researching water law before purchasing land here is not optional. TRC offers a balance. Most places on this list don't. Close enough to town for weekly supplies, isolated enough on rural parcels to feel genuinely independent. 5. Pytown, New Mexico. Catron County. Population 60. Named after a roadside cafe that served pie to travelers in the 1920s and never updated its ambitions beyond that. Catron County is one of the lowest density counties in the United States. The county government is small. Code enforcement is essentially theoretical. Land runs $1,000 to $3,000 per acre. At higher elevations, ponderosa pines replace desert scrub, a more livable climate than the low desert entries on this list. The downside is that isolation here is not a concept. The nearest town of any size is over an hour away. Medical emergencies require accepting that response time is long and distance is fixed. People who live around Pytown have generally made that calculation deliberately. 6. Presidio County, Texas. Far west. Texas again. this time bordering Mexico. 3,856 square miles, about 6,000 people. The county includes Marfa, but Marfa is not what makes Presidio County relevant here. The surrounding ranchland and desert is. Land prices vary, with remote parcels available in the $1,500 to $5,000 range per acre. The county's resources do not extend to aggressive code enforcement outside incorporated areas. Border Patrol presence along the southern stretches is a reality that some residents find intrusive. Summer heat in this part of Texas is serious and extended. The freedom is West Texas sized, so are the distances to everything else. 7. Mojave County, Arizona, northwestern Arizona. Areas around Golden Valley, Dolan Springs, and Wickiup. Land runs $3,000 to $8,000 per acre. Building codes exist on paper. In practice, enforcement in remote areas is limited, and the county includes an established off-grid population that has operated largely without interference. One consideration worth stating plainly: codes that are currently unenforced can be enforced if county leadership changes. Buying land in a county with no codes is structurally different from buying land where codes exist but are ignored. The second scenario carries long-term risk that the first does not. Solar is excellent. Water requires planning. The balance of access and freedom is reasonable by desert standards. 8. Luna County, New Mexico, southwestern New Mexico. Deeming as the county seat. Land at $2,000 to $6,000 per acre. The aquifer here is more accessible than in much of the surrounding region, which meaningfully reduces the cost and complexity of water. Enforcement outside Deming is limited. The off-grid community is established and unpretentious. Border Patrol checkpoints are part of daily life this close to the Mexican border. Summer heat is genuine. The county's economic struggles keep prices low and services limited. Both sides of the same coin. Underrated on most lists. Worth the research. 9. Saguache County, Colorado. The San Luis Valley extends well beyond Crestone. The broader county offers similar conditions. Minimal codes outside town limits, limited enforcement, high desert elevation, mountain views, at lower prices than the Crestone area specifically. Land runs $3,000 to $10,000 per acre. Earthships, straw bale homes, and yurts exist throughout the county. The off-grid culture is not confined to one community. Colorado mountain winters at 7,500 to 8,500 feet require systems and preparation. The payoff is the landscape and the regulatory environment, two things that don't often come together at these prices. 10. Costilla County, Colorado. Colorado's poorest county, southern end of the San Luis Valley, bordering New Mexico. Land at $1,500 to $5,000 per acre, the cheapest in Colorado. The county government has neither the budget nor the staffing to enforce building codes in any meaningful way. People build what they need. The Sangre de Cristo Mountains form the eastern boundary. The poverty of the county is directly connected to the freedom. No budget for enforcement. No budget for road maintenance either. Emergency response times are long. Services are minimal by design. The county simply doesn't have the resources. That trade-off is the whole equation here. 11. Harney County, Oregon. Southeastern Oregon. 10,228 square miles, about 7,500 people, one of the largest, emptiest counties in the country. Land at $1,000 to $3,000 per acre. The county does not have the capacity to regulate remote properties in any practical sense. Oregon has state-level building codes, but practical enforcement in Harney County is minimal. Over 280 sunny days each year make solar viable. Wells are legal with permits. Winter brings genuine cold. The nearest city is 3 hours away. Medical care is limited to what Burns can provide. The isolation is not managed. It is accepted. 12. Elko County, Nevada, northeastern Nevada. 17,000 plus square miles. About 53,000 people, with Elko City anchoring the county's eastern edge. Elko County tops this list for one reason: balance. Land at $1,000 to $4,000 per acre. Nevada's regulatory environment is genuinely relaxed outside city limits. Solar conditions are excellent. Wells are relatively affordable compared to other Nevada counties. And Elko City, with a real hospital, real grocery stores, real supply infrastructure, is accessible from most rural parcels without a day's journey. The off-grid community here is established. The winters bring snow, but not the extremes of the Colorado high desert. Reno is 4 hours west. Complete independence at the end of a manageable drive to services. That combination is rarer than it sounds. Desert cheap makes sense. The conditions explain the price. Mountain cheap is harder to explain. and harder to find. 12 towns where elevation kept everyone else out and prices stayed behind. That is the next video.